ankle weights so I could do the same exercises Goku did. And I have made so many friendships over the years just because I know Dragon Ball Z. But overall, even though I do love the series of Dragon Ball Z, as I've rewatched it, as I've gotten older, there's definitely some things I wouldn't mind changing about the series. So here is 9 things I personally would change about Dragon Ball Z. So number 1 would be Goku getting the heart disease during the Android saga. I know Toriyama likes to take Goku out some of the action early on in sagas to kind of make his return much more special. But in this circumstance, I would have liked if this wasn't the case. I really did want to see how he actually coped fighting Android 16, 17, and 18. I think the strategy and fighting style would really be epic. So of those 3 androids, I would have liked for him to at least try battling 16 because 16 was the most adamant to actually go and fight Goku. Then maybe, just like with the original storyline, have Goku's symptoms of the heart virus crop up then in one of those later battles, so then he has to be removed before Cell appears, because then you can keep the storyline somewhat the same. Moving on to number 2. We are jumping forward now, and I would have preferred if they removed Goten and Trunks from learning Super Saiyan at such a young age. As a kid, personally watching it, I did think it was really cool. However, on looking back as I got older watching the series, this was basically the beginning of the end, because this really destroyed the hype and what made the Super Saiyan transformation special, because once you see little characters just playing with it like it's nothing, it really did take away the importance of it. And it also inadvertently made Gohan learning the Super Saiyan at such a young age less impressive. So personally, I would just remove that from the story. The only thing I will say would impact would be obviously Goten's form. All they would have to do is have them perform the dance without being Super Saiyan. So then you stick to Goten's at a base level. Or if you would like, you could say that maybe once they're fused, they can then go Super Saiyan because it now allows them to pull both of their powers together. But personally, I wouldn't have had them individually be able to become Super Saiyan at such a young age. At least in the future timeline when Trunks turned, it made a lot more sense. Next up is a super important one, which is we needed to have more main characters die. And I mean really die, because the Dragon Balls really did cripple the stakes, as once it got near the end of the series, most people didn't even fear death or civilian casualties because they knew they could just be wished back no problem, which was kind of whack because it basically let them undo any big stakes, and this made us, the audience, care less about when characters die, especially when some characters died of the main cast, they went straight to the other world, and it wasn't really like they were dead because we saw them all the time. I understood having that for Goku and some of the characters, but I think they should have put a limit on it, so at least when some characters die, they're gone for good, as this would greatly increase the stakes and make it a lot more worrisome that some of the characters may die because they can't just be wished back. So this issue is a mix of the Dragon Balls being way too integral and need limits placed back on them, mixed with Toriyama having the confidence to kill off a character for good. Which leads me on to the next one, which is number 4. I think Tien should have died when he was against Second Form Cell. I think that would have been the perfect way out for his character, because at this point, Tien, Yamcha, all of those characters aren't really doing much in the series. They're basically a part of a old school bloated cast that basically just sit around and just kind of chill it because they can't really help much. But in that instance, Tien really did go above and beyond and made himself valuable because he was able to hold off Cell for Android 18 to run away, which I think would have been a great way to gracefully allow the character to bow out the series. He can't one-on-one fight Cell, but he had a technique that was good enough to hold him off, and I think ultimately Cell should have been able to get to him and kill him. I think that would have been a great way for his character to go out. It's not like he does anything important after this point, so why did Toriyama have Goku go and save him? It made no sense. It would have been much more impactful and memorable for Tien to be killed in that instance and not be able to be brought back. It would have just made the character be put on a pedestal and be remembered so fondly, whereas keeping him alive didn't really do anything. Now, continuing on with the Cell saga, next up, I would say Goku versus Cell. There's a few changes here I think he should have kind of done. For one, Goku should have went all out against Cell. I know he tells Gohan that he did, but he really didn't, because he didn't use a lot of the skills that he has in his arsenal, such as the Spirit Bomb if needed, Kaioken. I don't think at this point he's really mixed Super Saiyan and Kaioken together, but it would have been cool if they did do that, because we obviously know now in Super he has the ability to do this, but I really do think that would have been really cool, because then you really see Goku pushing himself to the limit, because when Goku was fighting Cell, he never really seemed like he was truly taxed. because if you compare that battle to when he fought Frieza, you can tell there's definitely a big difference in the amount of effort and skill he put into that battle. I know his main goal was to have Gohan watch and follow Cell's moves, but I really think he should have went really all out. But then having him actually lose the battle, not just bow out, would have made it a lot more shocking to us, the fans, that Goku went all out and still lost. But now we're relying on Gohan. Would have been much better than when Goku just says, nah, I'm done, and lets Gohan fight. And then, of course, I would also have Goku not give Cell the Senzu Bean. That infamous Senzu Bean scene has been debated by so much of the fandom. Half of them are saying
he did it on purpose because he knew that if Cell wasn't full power, he would just blew up the earth if Gohan started.
No, Goku should not have given him the Senzu Bean. That's it. Because there's many silly Goku moments in the series of Dragon Ball Z. But that one in particular, I would even argue is worse than when Goku gave Frieza some energy to try and escape Namek. This one personally is for me because Vegeta is my favorite character, but number 6 is they should have allowed Vegeta to be great at some points. I understand Vegeta needed to be humbled, but they never let Vegeta win a battle. Like, apart from when he beats Goku initially in the Saiyan Saga, because they had to team up to beat him, and some of the characters on Namek, but after that point, he consistently loses. I understand it's a part of his arrogance and they wanted to kind of keep him humble. So in essence, I don't mind them humbling Vegeta, but they should have allowed him to at least win some of the important battles in the series. Moving on, the next one being number 7, which is remove Great Saiyaman from the series. I think they could have kept it as the Golden Fighter and have that be Gohan's main alias rather than introducing the Great Saiyaman. I personally always hate that character. It destroyed the build-up of Gohan's super dope prestige that he built up during the Cell Saga by having this goofy character come in. I know Toriyama likes comedy and he likes that sort of vibe. However, it just didn't fit at all. I think having the Golden Fighter would have been fine because it's still Super Saiyan. It seemed more normal. He didn't have a weird, goofy persona, but the fans would have still been interested and it still would have fit into his storyline of trying to be a student while balancing being somewhat of a hero. So moving on again now to number 8, I would say during the Majin Buu saga, they introduced a lot, and I mean a lot, of various transformations. And I think ultimately they should have had one of those transformations be the one to beat Kid Buu, because it's almost a case of they introduced so many new transformations and they ultimately, I'm not going to say they were pointless because they were very good to look at, but they didn't really defeat the villain. They were just introduced to be beaten at some point. So with that, it seemed odd Majin Buu was defeated by just Super Saiyan Goku. So personally, I would have preferred if they used one of the transformations to beat him, say Ultimate Gohan, which at least it's some form of a transformation. And that also would have redeemed Gohan from obviously him being destroyed as a character. I just feel like they introduced so many cool transformations. It would have been cool if one of those was actually necessary to actually defeat the villain. And moving on to number 9 now, I would say I personally never liked the ending of Dragon Ball Z when Goku just leaves with Oob. I don't think it really makes sense. Like, Goku didn't have to leave for good. He could have trained Oob and still not cut contact with everybody. And I just don't get why they actually did this. Even if we take away the fact that Goku can instantly transport his body anywhere in the world with his instant transmission technique, why would he have to walk out on all his friends and family forever? Just say in the scenario he wants to train Oob where he lives, which is fine, which makes sense. People could have still visited him. He didn't need to like say goodbye and basically make it seem like he's never going to see them again. They do this every time there's a time jump, forgetting that Goku has damn near super speed. He can go see any of his friends whenever he feels like it. So to me, I feel like it was really silly having that as the ending, especially when you see him like being more of a family person. Like, he was more involved with like Pan growing up. It seemed odd that they kind of like just completely reverted his character back to solely being about battling. And for that reason, I personally always thought that ending was just so weird, because the dude can teleport in seconds across the world, let alone the Earth. So to me, it just seemed really, I'm not gonna say cheap, but it just didn't make any sense in context. A couple bonus ones I don't feel like should be their own point, which is have Goku care more about learning about his past and parents. I think when Raditz came along, they should have made Goku more eager to find out more about his past. And Goku seems to just not care at all, which I feel like most people that are orphan would want to know something about their past. And the next one, which is very minor, which is they should have removed the filler where the Z fighters beat the Ginyu Force. There's no way none of us believe that Yamcha, Tien, and Chaozu are beating the Ginyu Force. It's never gonna happen. But overall, I still love it to this day. So yeah, feel free to comment down below and let me know your thoughts on my list and what things you personally would add in yourself.